Who?
And coming to you live from my parents' house, episode 5 of the Essential Question podcast. Today, the essential question is, how's 2020 been, bro? Anyway, we got one of my favorite people on this podcast today, one of my good friends from high school. Rahul, what's up?
What's up, bro? How you been?
I've been good. We've been talking for like 15 minutes before this, but that shit doesn't matter. What's been cracking? Tell the people what's up.
Dude, nothing much. I just finished finals. I had to take 6 finals,
Gosh.
which is the most amount of finals I've ever had to take, including during high school. So that was fun. That was fun to study for.
Yeah. Isn't that fucking insane? 6 finals, dude. Like, why do they give you finals for labs? I think that's bullshit.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing, especially like even now that it's online, right?
Yeah.
Like labs themselves are supposed to like test like doing stuff, right?
Yeah. Like,
And
what the fuck are you supposed
I
to do
don't
with the
know.
lab? Like, do you just like dump water into like a cup at home and just like watch it explode for a chem lab? I don't know how the fuck that
No,
works.
dude, it's like here. Let me tell you how pointless these have become, right? For my OChem lab this quarter, all he did was like go over like some concepts in the lab, and then he just showed us a video of like our lab advisor or whatever doing the experiment, and then he's like, "All right, cool. You guys can like go work on your shit now. It's due next week."
Bro, what the fuck?
And then like I'm like, dude, what? So I mean, and the videos were uploaded to like how every school has like a like their version of Canvas or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he would just like the videos would be uploaded to that database or whatever. So people were just like, why am I here? Like I can just watch it like tomorrow
I know,
and like
right?
do a live report later.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So I was just going to, real quick before we get into the question, because I don't want to waste too much time because we got a lot to get through. I was going to just do a little rapid fire intro so the people kind of get to know you a little better,
Of course.
So first question, and these are just going to go real quick. So nothing like, too slow, no, introspective, thoughtful, philosophical answers. So we'll just go. First question, how tall are you?
6'2".
Cap.
Dude,
No.
what are you talking about?
I'm kidding.
You're like 8'3", dude.
Dude, that's not true. I'm like 5'1". Anyway, what's your favorite color?
Red. I guess. Pretty
Favorite artist?
Favorite
musical artist, not like
All right.
Picasso. Musical artist.
Anuj is gonna scoff at me when I say this. Travis Scott.
Yeah, for sure. People like, that's the thing is like, I've gotten hella people that are like, oh, Anuj, your favorite artist is obviously Drake. You have a poster in the back, blah, blah, blah. Like, obviously, I'm like, nah, dude, it's Logic. I just left all my Logic posters in college. So,
Dude, yeah, of course.
Can't fucking put it up just yet. But he wasn't my number one artist this year. If you guys can guess who my number one artist is, I will give you $10. You won't be able to. Anyway, who's your favorite artist like right now? Who are you like listening to?
Right now, G-Eazy. I've been listening to not After Hours. What am I talking about? That's the weekend. I've been listening to These Things Happen a lot. I don't know why.
Really? The indie version of G-Eazy?
Yeah, dude, 2014 G-Eazy was lit.
No, wait, These Things, I thought When It's Dark Out is like 2013, right? With like Random.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, wait, These Things Happen is what?
Wasn't that 2014?
Gee, I think These Things Happen was like this year, wasn't it?
No, definitely not.
Not like new G-Eazy, right? No,
it's old G-Eazy. It's definitely old G-Eazy. It's like
okay.
It's like one of his best albums in my opinion.
Okay. When It's Dark Out, it's probably better, but anyway.
Okay, buddy.
Favorite athlete?
Favorite athlete, bro. Curry, of course. Stephen Curry.
Basic. No, I'm kidding.
Basic. I'm your basic Bay Area resident.
Nah, good for you. Steph Curry's dope. And if you had one meal left on this planet, what would it be?
That is a tough one. How specific do you want me to go?
Go as specific as you want to go. It's your time to shine.
Dude, just give me like literally just give me any Indian food possible, bro.
Oh,
That's what I'll take. That's what I'll take.
for sure.
Come
I think
on.
that's a relatively fair answer.
Gotta
Would
show love
I
to your roots.
would I eat rice and dal as my last meal on this planet?
Okay, not that
Probably
basic.
not.
Not that
But
basic. Not that basic. I'm gonna go with like, okay. This is a very basic answer, but probably like, dude, garlic naan and like malai kofta low-key slap.
for sure. You're vegetarian, right? Are you
I
vegetarian?
am.
Oh,
Vegetarian.
okay. So you that's why I was expecting you to say butter chicken, but I was like, oh, Rahul's vegetarian, so he probably won't. And what song? This is the last one. What song
Okay.
would be the soundtrack to your life?
Soundtrack to my life. Okay. That is an interesting question. I've never thought about that actually. Soundtrack to my life. Honestly, any upbeat song, dude. We'll just go with that.
Yeah, I was just gonna play fucking Antidote. Don't you open up that window?
window.
Yeah, that's totally your fucking soundtrack to your life.
I'm not gonna lie, when you said sound, like when I was low-key thinking of Antidote. Like I was actually about to say
Antidote is not the soundtrack to your life, okay?
Okay, not to my life, but like for some reason when you said that, I was like, what's your favorite soundtrack or one of your favorite soundtracks? I don't know.
Okay, I mean, if Antidote is the soundtrack to your life, then it is.
No, it's not.
I
It's
can't
not.
judge
It's not.
you.
It's not.
I mean, there's
But,
some very graphic content in that song, Rahul.
That is true. All right.
We don't advocate for any of that on this podcast. So anyway, but this week on the podcast, or today, whatever episode, I think it's 5. The question is, so bro, how's 2020? But essentially, like what the context of that question is, and I'm sure Rahul can elaborate on it, is just basically me and Rahul want to talk about kind of how 2020 has gone, kind of like a year in review. You know how Spotify has Spotify Wrapped and you get to see all your songs? We'll just kind of try to do our own version of Spotify Wrapped, you know, a little 2020 recap, how this year has gone, what have been some of the challenges, some of the high points. Obviously, this has been a year of tremendous change on all fronts. Rahul, you got anything to say?
Dude, yeah. I mean, it's weird. Like, even though like we've only lived like 19 to 20 years on this earth so far, it's just like you could never imagine that you could have a year like this, right? It's like literally everything's just about everyone's lives have pretty much changed. Like, you know, you're not going to a physical campus anymore to take classes in a lecture hall. You're on Zoom. You're wearing masks outside. You know, your social distance. Like, there's just like so many things that just changed this year, and it's crazy.
For sure. Yeah, no, I mean, let's just say in January of 2020, if you had told me in December of 2020, I would not be enrolled in the university that I'm in right now, or that I was in at the time, I would have changed my major probably about 2 or 3 times, and I would be living at home. I would slap the shit out of you. I'd be like, you're fucking insane. But, you know, things change. I think that's been the motto of this year. But before we get into this episode, there's a very special reason that I brought Rahul onto this podcast today. This isn't necessarily, this wasn't just a random guy I picked out of the hat of my various high school friends. This guy was there on, I guess we could call it the day the world changed, hypothetically. Was it one of the days?
Our world anyway. I mean,
our world, my world, his world.
Because I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah,
we were it was like one of the earlier stages of it.
Yeah, it was very early. But I think how I want to do this is I'm going to let Rahul tell his version of the story, and then I'm going to tell my side, and we're going to kind of, meet in between. So go for it.
All right, for sure. So basically what Anuj is talking about is, so I go to UC Riverside, right? And when he was enrolled at Redlands, we both knew that, like, oh yeah, we're like, it's cool. We're like 20 minutes away from each other. That was nice. But like, honestly, to actually like start this entire story, I was taking my English final on like Monday. What was it, like March 16th?
Was it?
I think so.
Yeah, March 16th, right? Yeah,
something like that. I remember it was like some even number.
Yeah, it was March 16th. I think I checked my plane ticket the other day. I think it was 16th.
Yeah. and I was taking my English final because it was like, even, the schools already started making adjustments then to, um, they started saying, oh yeah, like classes are, not going to be in person for like maybe the next 2 weeks, and they started rolling out all these policies.
Yeah.
And in those, that policy rollout, basically, they said that our finals were virtual, right? Just like Anuja's finals were, everyone's finals were like that.
Yeah.
So I was in my dorm room. I was taking my English final, which was like an essay that we had to write in like a certain amount of time, and my dad calls me, and he basically I was like, whoa, why are you calling me right now? Like, I'm taking fun. He's like, and I answer him like, yo, and he's like, yeah, so there's going to be a sheltered place in the Bay Area. So he's like, get your ass over here right now. And I was like, oh, what? I was like, what even is a shelter in place? Like, I'd never even heard of that before this entire thing happened, right? This entire pandemic situation. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll just finish my English final, pack all my stuff, and I guess get out of here. And then I think a few minutes after that, honestly, I think Anuj called me too, and he's like, bro, are you coming to, or like, are you going home today? I'm like, yeah, dude. Are you? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, fuck, I gotta pack all my shit. And like, we were basically both just like stressed the fuck out, right? I mean, at that point, because we all had to pack basically like our entire dorm room, or like our parts of our dorm room, and just get the hell out of there. So once I did pack all my stuff, I took a lift to the airport, Ontario airport, and I was just like, dude, what is going on right now? Like, I should be taking my final. My flight should be the week after, not today. And I remember like going through TSA and all that, and then just sitting at the gate and just trying to think of what just happened over the past like 6-8 hours that like I was packing and doing all these types of things. And I remember seeing Anuj walk to our gate, because we were both on the same flight, because it was like, I think the last flight, it was
the last flight to San Jose that night.
It was the last flight to San Jose from Ontario, and we're both like sitting in our seats, and we're just like, dude, what just happened? Like, what just happened?
I remember
and
that.
I'm just like, bro, like, I have no clue. And Anuj, if you remember, I was wearing a mask even then, and I was like wearing gloves and stuff.
Yeah, and do you remember what I said to you? I was like, why are you freaking out? I sound like such an idiot now. I'm like, oh my God. I literally went on that airplane with no mask. I'm like, oh my God.
And I remember that airplane was like so empty too, because everyone started getting into like this sentiment of like, oh, I cannot be in airports now. Even at the airport, I was like, I can't. I was like,
bro,
where are my gloves? Where are my mask? All right, everything's
you
fine.
had gloves and a mask on, bro. I didn't have anything. I was so underprepared. I looked like a fucking undercooked pasta. Like it was bad.
Dude, and it was crazy because like wearing a mask wasn't, I guess, normalized back then.
No, because the day after was when they started like making it mandatory on planes. I literally didn't have a mask on the day, and then like even the flight attendants were not wearing masks. Like they were just chilling.
Yeah, exactly. I think in total I saw like 2 or 3 other people wearing a mask.
Yeah, literally no one.
And like literally all these like these like old people were looking at me. They're like, "What is he doing? What?"
I was looking at you. I was like, "Bruh, what the frick?"
I remember that, dude. I remember that.
But I can tell my side.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I woke up that morning, and I remember so this starts back on Friday. So I remember waking up on Friday the 13th, which was the day, or basically that Friday, right? The Friday before. Or no, so it was the Friday the 13th, and we left Monday the 16th. So It was Friday the 13th. I remember waking up that day and just being like, it's Friday the 13th. What could go wrong? That was the first thought that went through my head. Extremely ironic, I know. But like that was the first thought. I was like, what could go wrong, bro? It's Friday the 13th. It's a beautiful day in SoCal in March. And, I was going to class. Little did I know that was the last class I would ever attend in person, right? Like, it was so random. Like I remember, and that was a class I went to like every Friday. It was like 9:30, and I would wear my I would just, because the night before I'd be up till like 1 reading, because it was a philosophy and lit class, and I would be reading, and then I would wear my little blanket to class, my little Niners Snuggie. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, it's a real dope thing. RIP to it though. I'll talk about that later. But no, so I was wearing my little Snuggie to class, went to class, and I remember like just walking around and campus seemed like a lot more dead than usual. I was like, wait, what? Like, what is going on? And obviously like we knew about the Rona and shit like that. And there was actually supposed to be a basketball game that night. And it was fucking, I forget, it was like the Thunder. The Thunder were playing someone, but I remember I was
Thunder were playing the Jazz, I think, right?
The Thunder were playing the Jazz, right?
Yeah.
And I was gonna go watch it. I was like, oh, I'm hella pumped. Like I'm gonna go watch the game, just hang out with friends, blah blah blah. I go down to watch the game, and I get a text from one of my friends. He's like, bro, you see what's happening right now? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, no. And this is like a friend up, in college, and I was like, okay. I literally just type in a search into like Google, and I'm just like NBA, and it's like breaking news, like Rudy Gobert tests positive for the coronavirus. I was like, what? Rudy Gobert got the Rona? Like, how idiotic does this guy have to be to get some rare ass Chinese virus? And then immediately after that, I get a text from my mom, and she's like, Anuj, this virus is actually serious. Can you please come home? I was like, dude, this is such BS. Like, this whole virus thing is cap. Like, this is such a lie. And I remember texting all my family. I was like, guys, you guys are freaking out over such a stupid thing. Like, this isn't real. Like, I remember, like, I just was in denial. I was in denial, and I also just didn't have information. So, like, I was like, bro, like, this is, like, I think at the time, like, there was, like, 20, quote-unquote, reported cases. So I was like, okay, dude, literally, this is like Ebola. This thing will be, like, contained, and we'll be good to go, like, whatever. And so I was like, okay, we're chilling. And then the NBA got shut down. And I remember being like, holy shit, they shut down one of the biggest organizations in America and like businesses. And they just shut down the whole thing. They suspended the season. I was like, oh, damn. And then Tom Hanks got the Rona. And I was like, oh, damn. And then that was just Friday, right?
Bro, not Woody. Woody got the Rona. What are you talking about?
That was Friday. Saturday and Sunday was just more and more dead. It was just dead. And I remember there was this one girl in our hall that left. And she left on Monday. She was like, my mom's starting to get really, and she was scheduled to leave Monday. She left Monday in the early morning. And so she was like scheduled to leave. And she was like, my mom's getting really scared over the virus. Like, she's coming to pick me up, all this stuff. She left that early Monday morning. And I was like, bruh. I remember waking up that Monday morning being like, all right, I told my parents, like, I'm going to leave like around Thursday. Like, that was my plan, because it was getting bad at that point. And I was like starting to see like the concern. And I remember talking to my RA, or not my RA, but, like the resident director, and she was like, you need to get the fuck out of here if you can. This thing is bad, Anuj. Like, it's actually bad. And I was like, okay, I don't believe you, but okay. And then Monday rolls around, and I wake up that morning, and I'm like, yeah, nothing's happening, whatever. It's like normal. I like go to the cafeteria because like I think I was just like I woke up late that day and I was like chilling, whatever. Went to the cafeteria to grab lunch. I get a text from my mom. She's like, the Bay Area just went into shelter in place. I was like, what? What the fuck is shelter in place? Like, I remember looking it up.
Never
there was no answer. Like, there was no answer. I would like look through like 8 articles and no one had an answer. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, shelter in place? Like, is this just like some bullshit? And I remember reading like articles where it was like, warning, like airports are going to shut down. Like, highways are going to shut down. Like, you won't be able to get into the Bay Area. Like, that was like the initial reports coming out because that's what people thought. There's going to be an increased police presence. I was like, wait, what? And like, when my mom was like, Anuj, you have to come now because otherwise the airports are going to get shut down and pretty soon the highways are going to get shut down and you won't be able to get into the Bay Area. And I was like, wait, like what? I can't go home? Like, I can't go back to the Bay? What? And like, I was so confused. And then I got freaked out and I was like, oh shit. And I remember just like, my mom was like, can you please book a flight home immediately now? And I was like, okay. I remember calling you calling you or texting you right after. I was like, bro, what the fuck is going on? You were like, I don't know. And I was like, are you packing? You're like, yeah. like, all right, I guess I got fucking 8 hours to pack this shit before I got to head to the airport. And I remember just that day was such a blur. Like, I don't even know how the fuck. Like, I woke up that morning expecting to sleep in my dorm room that night.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember going to bed here at my house, and I like at my parents' house, and I was like, how the fuck did I end up here? Like, it was crazy. I just started stuffing random clothes into random bags. And the thing is, like, I hadn't planned to move out. So I didn't take any of my big suitcases with me. And so I had taken a lot of like my small ones. I just had my carry-on, so I would just go home for a week. And then I was planning on taking my big suitcases back up during spring break so that I would be able to just like, you know, have them while I was moving out, so it'd be easier. So I had one carry-on small suitcase and two of the tiniest fucking duffel bags you've ever seen in the world.
I remember those.
Do you remember them? They started breaking like mid-flight.
You bought them that day, right?
Yeah, I bought them that day with like the $2 in my bank account, and like I went to the dollar store, bought the cheapest fucking duffel bags I could find, just started stuffing everything I could possibly find into those duffel bags, like, and I remember like with the rest of the stuff, I was like, holy fuck, I have so much stuff. What am I going to do with it? And I took this one big ass trash bag that one of the RAs gave me. And I just started fucking putting everything in this big ass trash bag. It was like a humongo trash bag. And I just started dumping shit in there. I don't know what the fuck ended up in there and what the fuck I have here. But I realized, like, you know, 7 months later, I ended up with mostly gym shorts and sweatpants in these bags. And then all my actual good clothes are in a fucking trash bag. And so I put all that shit in the trash bag. I put it down in our dorm basement because I presumed I would be coming back. Yeah. And so I put it all down there. I told my roommate, I was like, yo, if you can you just move the refrigerator? Like, if you can keep it, do whatever the fuck you want with it. And he was like, all right, fine. I remember just moving out and there was just no goodbye. It was like, bye, man, like, peace. And it was just really quick. It was like, I had to say bye to everyone just real fast. And it was like, bam, 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 bam. And like people were leaving, like dropping flies. And so everyone was trying to pack. Everyone was trying to leave, but some people were gone, some people were here, some people were there, and like I had to call people and this, that, and the other. And I remember just, you know, my friend offered to give me a ride to the airport. I hitched a ride to the airport real quick and he said, see you next year. And I was like, yep. And yeah, I got an Ontario airport. I remember it was weirdly quiet. It was very weird.
It was. Which even for Ontario, which is like a pretty small airport, like you don't really get, I mean, at times it's crowded, but it's not like SFO crowded or like SJC crowded. Yeah. It's like, even for Ontario, it was like quiet.
It was weirdly quiet. And I just like walked. I remember I was just in a daze the whole time. I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I should not be going home on a Monday. Like, this whole thing was so weird. And I remember I was just going through TSA and I was like, what is happening? And I remember just like walking up to like you, and we were just, and I remember, like you said, we were just sitting there like, how?
Like, what just happened? Yeah.
How? What? And little did I know that day single-handedly just like shifted around everything in my life. Like, it's crazy because I thought, okay, worst comes to worst, I'm gonna be back here next year.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Last I checked, I'm not. And last I checked, I'm not headed back there anytime soon, which is the craziest part. If you had told me I would transfer in March of 2020, I would have been like, you are stupid. You are going to be an RA next year. Everything is going to be different. Yeah. It's crazy how 7 months can shift the narrative. I'm telling you, right? It was crazy. And that's why I have Rahul on this podcast, because he was literally there the day probably this podcast was even born. So,
dude, think that they first said, like, for my schooling, I'm not sure about Redlands, but they said, oh yeah, we're going to have like spring break, because it was like the end of our quarter, right? Mm-hmm. I was in finals week, and they're like, all right, we're gonna have spring break, and then the first week of spring quarter, because you know that was like the end of winter quarter and we were going to spring quarter. And he said, all right, they said the first week of spring quarter is gonna be online, and then you guys can come back. And we're just like, all right, cool, I'm not coming back for like maybe, I guess, 2 weeks in that case, until this entire thing is like over. And then they're like,
oh, damn it. I lost you. Wait, what? No.
But you hit?
Oh, yeah. I thought I lost you for a second. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
okay. That was weird. I hope I can edit that out. Anyway, go for it. What were you saying? Just like start from the beginning.
Yeah, no worries. So basically there was like, the sentiment that like, oh yeah, it's just going to be 2 weeks and we're going to be right back to where we were, right? Because this is basically like in a quarter system, like we were during like in finals week, right? So the next week would have been spring break for us. And then they said, okay, after spring break, the first week of spring quarter is going to be online, and then you guys are going to be back. And we were just like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Like, I guess I won't be here for 2 weeks then, until, you know, this thing will come back to normal.
Yeah.
Right. And literally a day later, they sent, you know, after they sent that email, they're just like, oh yeah, just kidding. Spring quarter's online. You guys are going to go home. And we're like, what? Like, what just happened?
The whole thing was so confusing, bro, because we also had those emails where it was like a week, and then it was like, nah, JK, 2 weeks. And then it was like, nah, we're actually kicking every single person out of the residence halls by Thursday. I remember because that happened that Monday when I was leaving. They're like, I remember texting you. I was like, bro, we just got an email. They kicked everybody out of the residence hall. And like everyone started freaking the fuck out. Like, dude, I remember there was like a collective scream. You could hear it in our dorm building. Everyone was like, what? When the email popped up at like 3:30, they were like, yeah, we're kicking everybody out by Wednesday. So pack your bags. And it was like, wait, what? Everyone was like just freaking out, just stuffing shit into bags. Like it was like a packing shit show. Half the people were crying, half the people were drinking. It was just like people were just like all over the place. And man, it was crazy. I remember we're talking to one of my friends. He was a senior, and he was just damn, this is how it all ends, huh? He's like, I came in with Trump, I go out with COVID, I guess.
Oh my God.
I was like, wow, like that's such an interesting way to look at it. What a fucking 4 years.
Yeah.
But it was interesting, man. And that kind of leads me into what I was going to talk about. And I feel like 2020 there's just been a lot of macro and there's been a lot of micro. I mean, when you look at it, right? Because obviously macro is the worldwide events that have taken place, like the pandemic, like, you know, the stuff with BLM and the racial injustice riots and all that, and just the various other things like murder hornets, whatnot. And then there's like the personal stuff, you know, like just like the little things that I think as individuals we have had to deal with, right? Whether it be the quarantine, whether it be, you know, adapting to this online life, whether it be, you know, having to sacrifice going out with friends, you know, all of these things, and like figuring out new ways to kind of adapt to this new reality that we're living in. And that's interesting to me. I mean, I think
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's weird because I think there are a lot of people who have, I think the macro, everyone can agree, has just been shitty, right? Like it's just been a fucking terrible year. But
we haven't been able to catch a break at all. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's like just when you think you're good, it's like, nah, fuck you.
Bro, I think the time, or not the time, but the day that people's attitude towards 2020 shifted was January 26th. Like, you know what happened? Kobe died, right?
Kobe.
That was the day. People were like, fuck 2020. I hate 2020. You took away like this icon.
Kobe was really the catalyst for everything. And
exactly.
You know what's crazy, bro? What the craziest part of the whole thing with Kobe is if he was alive for literally if this happened 6 weeks later, they would have probably halted the helicopter. He probably wouldn't have been able to go. He would have been in quarantine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah. No, there was a lot of interesting things that, like, you know, around that, like, that honestly, like that day was crazy.
Kobe gets lost within this year, and that's saying something, because in any normal year, if the Kobe had happened last year, shit, that would have been the biggest event of the goddamn year.
For sure.
Like,
you'd probably have like the entire like downtown LA like rented out, or I mean, you know, people would probably just like fill downtown LA, just like pulling, you know, just tributes to Kobe.
Yeah, I mean Kobe was still a big deal this year. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was just it feels so long ago because, you know, it was literally like January, February timeframe, and so much has happened since then that it kind of gets lost. And what's crazy to me, what was so hard about Kobe was literally the weekend after, like, my Niners, like the team I support,
yes, I was about to bring that up.
We're in the Super Bowl, and like it was so hard to like feel happy. It was, and like that's like the one thing that like it just like hurts, you know, was because like it was like obviously like the Super Bowl sucked for us, right? For Niner fans, if you're a Chiefs fan, fuck you.
Fuck you.
No, but I mean, for Niners fans, it was hard. I mean, because it was weird because I felt like I couldn't fully enjoy my team being in the Super Bowl because this icon had passed away in Super Bowl during like the week of Super Bowl week. No, that made no sense. During Super Bowl week.
Like Super Bowl week, yeah.
Yeah.
Around the time of Super Bowl, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just like, and it just tinted it a little bit, you know? And that's just, it's tough. But,
definitely.
you know, I mean.
We were on this huge hype train, right? Like we beat the Packers.
I remember when we beat the Packers.
In NFC.
Did I call you after we beat the Packers? That was one of the highlights.
I think so. I think you did.
I remember I went out into the quad and just started screaming like, "We're going to the bowl, baby!" But we're gonna talk a little bit more about the sports stuff on a later podcast. I'm not gonna reveal anything, but we got some kind of good stuff going on with the sports stuff. Anyway, but like I don't know, like it's just felt like that was kind of lost in the sauce, you know, a little bit, like with Kobe, and then I think February, Pop Smoke passed away, which was
that was crazy.
Yeah, the armed robbery, and then after that was just COVID, boom, and that just took over like the world in a lot of ways, you know.
Yeah,
and it's crazy to think about.
Many.
Go for it.
Yeah, many high profile people passed away. Chadwick Boseman in August.
Yeah, that was already in August. Wow.
I think that was in August, right?
I think it was August. It was earlier it was like late summer. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that no one saw coming because I mean he obviously wasn't public with his diagnosis, right?
Right.
And I was just like, what? Like, how could have this happened? Like, I literally was like scrolling through Instagram the day it happened. I was like, no way that happened.
Man, yeah.
And I was just like, dude, fuck 2020.
Yeah, dude. I mean, everything, dude. It was just like again, bro. And again. And it's just like, damn. It's like I think in the macro, the human race just took punch after punch after punch. Yeah. But I think in the micro, and like I think this could be a silver lining, but it's also a double-edged sword. I think in the micro, there's been a lot of people who have taken steps forward. And I think that individually, I mean, we'll get into it later. I mean, with the both of us, if we've grown or whatever, or what we thought. But I think I've seen a lot of individuals who have made tremendous strides. And I think that's a good thing as well. But it's also, you know, surrounded by this kind of dark cloud and this societal thing of like, everyone is saying, fuck 2020, you know what I mean? But individuals are like, it's kind of hard to be positive, you know, and to be happy and all of these things when all you're seeing in society is just negative. And that's
exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean
like even when it wasn't 2020, like the news cycle was like, news is just like negative anyway, right? They just do that for clicks.
100%.
And then now you have like that compiled with like all the stuff that's been happening this year. It's just like, dude, it's too much. It's way too much.
Dude, yeah. But let's get into like the more introspective things. So that was a really bad transition, but I'm working on it. But like, what's one thing like you've kind of seen yourself like grow in, or like what's one thing like you've adapted, or like a particular area that you've seen yourself like kind of, you know, grow better at? Like what do you feel about that?
I think just overall, like, I guess you could say, because like there's like certain stresses that I guess are lifted off when you go from like an in-person to an online environment. Like you don't have to, I guess, go to a dining hall and like get all the, you basically like when you're staying at home, like, you're like your parents, I guess, are making food and, you have like these nice home cooked meals. So it's like, I feel like that stress basically kind of gave me it was like kind of like the catalyst of me kind of, I guess, studying better, to be honest. Like, cause I feel like as a first year, I was just like, I mean, I thought, for a little bit, I thought I was like, good at, I guess, I don't know if good is like the right word, but like, I guess I was like, oh yeah, I have to like go to a dining hall and I have to, walk to a library, like I have to keep physically moving. Right. But now I feel like now that that's sort of kind of been reduced, I've been able to like be like, all right, there's less distractions, I guess, things to do. Yeah. I guess like I can kind of put more energy towards like studying or like working out or just very, very small things, to be honest.
Do you like feel like that kind of like, instead of like putting it within a studying frame, like, do you think you've just like had more focus within your life?
Dude, yeah, for sure. It's definitely like given me more, like perspective, I guess, because like when everything is in person, you're kind of like in this rat race of just like, oh, I have to get up, go to class, do all these types of things. But like now you're just like, I don't know, there's something about the whole world being kind of on the same page in terms of like, oh, I have to uh, shelter in place, quarantine. That makes you kind of focus on like, this is kind of weird. Like this like new normal thing. Like how do I fit into this type of society, this new society? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Rose?
I mean, I think like honestly, the one thing I kind of seen myself grow into, like in particular, is a lot of like I think I've just been persistent this year. I
Yeah.
think this year's just been hard with just everything just getting thrown at you and thrown at you and thrown at you. And it's hard, man. It's just like it gets more difficult. And like my main goal this year, right? Like coming into like this summer, if there wasn't any COVID, was to get a job. And I wanted to make money.
Mm.
And I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that money, but I wanted to make money. And I think, and like when we got here in March, I remember just being fucking depressed the first like 3-4 weeks. I was like, I can't be with my fucking friends. Like I'm at home with my, my older brother, my parents, and like, we're literally just, it feels so like, I was like, I miss college. I hate being home. I this, that, and the other. And like, I was like pretty much like every other college student in the nation. I was just fucking bored. I didn't like online classes were a fucking breeze. I was just like, whatever, this, that, and the other. I didn't really care. I didn't care about anything. And like, that was the thing that like defined kind of my first half of 2020 was I didn't give a shit. I didn't care about anything. Like I would literally just wake up in the morning whenever I wanted, right? And just do my work and get it done and just half-ass assignments and not care and just kind of skate through and, just fucking, do, just be unproductive. Like that was what I was doing in 2020 and like, or like early on at least. And like, I was like, I remember just like being like, just mentally, like it was just hard, And so like, I had to like figure out different things to do every day to kind of keep myself motivated because otherwise it was just like, who cares? Like, it's like everyone's at home. There's nothing to do. You can't go out. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it was like, I had to find little things to keep myself like upbeat, like to be like, all right, I need to like wake up in the morning to do X, Y, and Z. And that was hard. It was just these like little battles at first, right? Where it was like, okay, like you have to figure out like what I wanted. I don't know if you've experienced it, but like, it's like these battles for motivation and like,
no, for sure.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, maybe like, and like, this is what I started to do this was like, all right, I'm going to walk to the park every day in the afternoon. Like that was my one thing I needed to do every day. And so like when I woke up in the morning, I was like, all right, I'm going to go walk to the park. Right. And so I would do that for a little bit. And then I would go FaceTime a friend and walk around, my neighborhood. And then like, that was my goal. Like that was one thing I needed to do every single day. And then beyond that, it was like, just, it was like my goal was to make money. And like, I thought initially like, I'll just get a job during the pandemic, but, obviously, with safety concerns and all that stuff and getting to like kind of learn more information about it, it obviously like wasn't safe because we didn't know enough, but we also like didn't, have necessarily enough information to say that it was safe to go to work. And I understand that. I was just pissed about it. I was like, all right, I can't get a job. Like I can't make money, like how the hell am I going to get a remote job without a degree? Like, I was just like, I didn't know what to do. And like, and kind of like, I just had to be persistent and just like what I learned this year is just wait a couple days, just wait on it a little bit, just keep doing your thing, find motivation and it'll come to you. And like, I've had little moments like that where it was like, like I thought nothing was going to happen and I was bored out of my mind. And the next thing I know, like I got a tutoring opportunity and I got to like tutor someone. And so I got to make a little bit of money on the side there. And then, with that money, my brother was like, hey, like, why don't you get into investing? And
there you go. I was waiting for that to pop up. I was like, he's gonna mention it somewhere.
That just fucking boom. It just kicked a whole new gear. And I'll talk a little bit more about investing, but I think the overall theme just with this year that I've seen myself growing is just being persistent and patient. Yeah.
You know what? That's honestly, I think that's kind of my answer too. My answer, okay, I know my answer was complete. Like, it sounds like garbage compared to yours, but I think I agree. I agree. I think like we've had. I mean, honestly, it's not like we had a choice, right? At the same time, like you have to like adapt to the world you live in. Like,
Mm-hmm.
basically, just take whatever it throws at you, and then adapt to it, and then
Yeah.
try to kind of just live your lives off of that. But and
Yeah.
I feel like 2020 has made me realize like I'm definitely much more capable of like adapting to things and yeah, I mean basically just much more capable, more like I have the ability to be like more persistent, you know, than I really thought I could be, you know, when
For
everything was
sure.
in.
For sure. And I mean,
Yeah,
I think that kind of goes with my like next question that I have, which is just like relating that to like, those little battles of motivation I think you had, especially like early in quarantine, or like all of us really did. Um,
yeah.
where it was like, how have you like managed your mental health throughout like this whole thing? Like, how have you like been able to manage that with like quarantine and school and just everything? Cause it's been
Yeah.
kind of a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. When the weather was like considerably warmer, I would make it a point like after dinner to just like go on a walk, or like not even after dinner, but just like in general to just go on a walk when the sun was out, or after dinner go on a walk, because just like
Mm-hmm.
get that fresh air, right? Because I think with everything being online, it's just like you get sort of like you just get that weird like cooped up mentality. So like you really need that nice. I know you like definitely references all like the Bay Area sun, basically, right?
Absolutely.
Um, in the Bay Area sun, you need the Bay Area fresh air, everything. But yeah. I think not seeing people in person was kind of a tough adjustment, but
For sure.
um, definitely, I guess to keep being social in this day and age. Obviously, like we would call, or we
Mm-hmm.
call like periodically,
Yeah.
just keep chatting with people, keep video chatting. Even with like my friends back at that I made at UCR, like we video chat, ever
Yeah.
so often. So just kind of like to sort of maintain that, I guess that happiness, I guess, or
Connection,
that
right?
connection. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I've basically just trying every way you can to do it in the safest way possible.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think with me, in terms of just like mental health during quarantine, I've just been up and down, up and down, up and down.
For
I think
sure,
like
for sure.
everybody else, like more like Tesla stock, if you guys, get that investing reference. But anyway, but no, I've just been like I don't know. There's just days where I feel like, okay, this is great. Like I'm making headway into something, like I'm getting into it, like I'm doing something. And then there are days where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And it's like, I'm stuck, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think like, and it's just like, it's hard because, you go from up to down real quick. And it's like being able to just like find that like those moments of calm and clarity. And like you were saying, bro, like that Bay Area sun, it it cures things. Like
The brand.
nah, but no, I would make it I'd make it a point like every day. I like you said, like go outside, get some fresh air. Whether it even just be like sitting outside. Like I think that's
Exactly.
even like
Yeah.
such a underrated aspect of everything. It's just like
Yeah.
being able to sit outside, being able to enjoy the fresh air, particularly when it like in the summer, in the spring, where it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's like
For
warm in the
sure.
nights too. And you could just sit out there and hang out. And just like I remember I would always do this where I would be like 10:30, 11 at night. I love sitting outside my house in the dark. I'm just weird. Okay. If you guys think that's cool, I love you guys. But if you don't, screw you. But no, I would sit outside on this like chair right outside my front like patio, and I'd just fucking sit there and watch the cars go by and just like hang out and call someone, and I would just talk. And like that would just give me clarity. I like sitting outside at night. I don't know what it was about the night, but it would just help me. And also like during the daytime, like I would do little walks, or like I would sit outside of my backyard maybe and get some work done, or watch something, or like, just being able to like unplug a little bit, away from your phone, away from this, and just like try to like maintain some semblance of like level-headedness throughout the process. And I
Yeah.
think just nature outside just really tremendously helped that. And I think we're blessed to live in like a Mediterranean climate where we're like,
Definitely. Definitely.
which is
There
cool.
were all these like I remember like I think it was like I forget which meme group it was, but there was like this meme going around being like, oh, people on the West Coast during quarantine versus people on the East Coast during quarantine. It's like people on the West Coast are like, oh, my life is so hard, like very sarcastically, and it showed a picture of like this girl by her pool in the sun taking a selfie or something,
Yeah,
and then
dude.
like people on the East Coast, it's like some person who was like wearing a hoodie and like it said like the text was like hasn't seen the sun in like 2 months or something. I'm like, dude.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I feel that heavy. And yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's like that. Yeah, we're definitely blessed to
for
be in the
sure.
climate we're in.
I mean, I think, yeah, the climate is like a really big thing that doesn't really get talked about. That like I think it's just benefited people who live on the West Coast tremendously. I mean, because I think
Mhm.
even now it's like it's cold, but it's like not cold, cold. You know, like it's not fucking snowing outside. Yeah, it's 45
Yeah, yeah,
degrees. I think that's freezing,
me
but
too.
it's still like good enough weather to like be able to do stuff and be able to like hang out outside during the day because like it was 70 degrees in December, may I mind you. So like a couple days ago. So that was
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of cool. Um,
yeah. It's crazy.
yeah. I mean, this next question is going to be a little fun. So, I think I always like to focus rather than on like the big picture. Like I'm a big picture guy. Like I like, seeing the big picture, but I think for me, it's all about the little things, the details. In terms of just like life experience, I think it's about the little things, the details. So what were like the little things that made your quarantine or like made your year?
Hmm. That's yeah. That's I think like you like oh like made my meaning like made me look at it more positively.
Or just like little memories that you have that you're going to be like, like that was cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely like Zoom calling with like or like zooming with family who like live across the country that you would only
Sure.
talk to like maybe every few weeks or whatever. Like basically I think at the beginning of quarantine every weekend it was pretty much just like
Yeah.
zooming this person or the other that like you probably wouldn't have talked to in person like for a couple of weeks because it's like everyone is at home, right? And like no one is like really going anywhere.
Right.
Especially like when it was, yeah, especially during the first shelter in place when no one was confident
Peak.
about.
Yeah. The peak.
Yeah, exactly. When no one was confident about like this, this entire situation. Um, I think those definitely made my year. It's like, and I think like realizing that everyone was home, like that's a really interesting feeling because like that's like I mean, now it's different obviously because like people are obviously going places with because things have opened up, right?
Yeah.
Um, but when it was shelter in place and there were things that were closed down, everyone was home and everyone was just like kind of sort of in the same situation. Everyone was online being like, oh guys, cool, look, all of us are in quarantine. It's
Yeah.
kind of like being able to relate to all these like random people online, I guess.
It was cool,
Uh,
man. It was
it
cool.
was cool, right? It was cool.
Yeah.
Like, and especially like um even like dude, even YouTubers, like everyone's just like, oh, I'm at home. And like I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
you have a home? And like I thought you lived with like like in a camera, dude.
Yeah.
Or in a laptop.
It was kind of cool to see like how YouTubers and content creators would like adapt to like the quarantine
Yeah,
environment. And I mean, I think you saw YouTubers really struggle in the beginning, you know, guys
yeah,
like Yes Theory who depend on traveling the world, who depend
right.
on doing crazy shit, suddenly we're like, what the
Yeah, like what are we
fuck do
gonna
we
do?
do? Like,
I think they took like a break, right? They took
and they
a
took
they
a
took a
break.
fat break.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
took a break because they just didn't know what the fuck was going on. And like
yeah, yeah,
and I don't blame them. I mean, yeah, you deserve a break, but
for sure.
it's
They've been grinding
hard.
out videos every like Sunday or whatever. Like,
Yeah, it's like you can't fucking grind out videos while also like having like your videos are very travel dependent, very movement dependent, very like being able to go out and like experience. And like that's unfortunately like with the coronavirus, and a lot of it is hanging out with strangers. And that's like lesson number one, do not do that when it's
yeah,
COVID-19, right?
especially.
And
Yeah.
it's like, and now it's like, it's like they basically had to like adapt to the new normal. And I think they did a great job. I think they did a lot of cool videos. And I think they were able to like really figure out like a way to adapt. And they really used, I think, their platform for like cool social change. And they actually,
Yep.
and the short films that they did were really dope. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think that was, it was really
You
cool
even
for
had
me.
you even had Thomas from the group from Yes Theory. He's I guess taking a break, but this guy went to Afghanistan, went to Dubai so far, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's like more so now, when stuff has been like
Oh,
opened up.
right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like March, April, May, I'm talking mostly.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess that's cool. I mean, like I never thought of like the Zooming with family, but yeah, that was definitely a highlight. I feel like you get to like meet up with people that like you just never would have thought to even call like on a regular
Yeah.
basis, right? Like even like
And there's
relatives.
like all
Yeah.
these. There's sorry to interrupt you, dude.
No,
But
go for it.
there's like all these events that like colleges do. Like I remember one of my friends sent me some like Zoom link where they're like, dude, they're interviewing Chris Paul right now, and I'm like, wait, what? And it's like all these weird things. It's like I think this is like post bubble.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, whoa, Chris Paul's at his house in like LA or whatever, OKC, or like I think he was at OKC at that time. Yeah, he was.
That's really cool, actually, that you were like, I mean,
Right?
and I think this is like another thing is just accessibility has opened up tremendously with this virus, right? Because everyone's stuck at home, and that doesn't like suddenly like celebrities are not discounted from that. It's everybody.
Yeah.
It's like doesn't matter what income class you are, you're stuck at home. And like suddenly like you're starting to see a lot more of these like Zoom interviews and like the accessibility to celebrities in their lives, and like, the interviews have gotten more frequent because they don't have, it's not necessarily like you don't have to figure out logistics. Like you don't have to go to a place. You don't have to do this. You don't have to set up. It's just turn on your computer, send the link, and you can hop on the call. And suddenly, you have an interview, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember like another interesting adjustment like was late night talk show hosts. So like Trevor Noah was in his like apartment. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel was, at his house, and it's like, whoa,
Right.
like I've never seen this side of them. Like I've always seen them in their studios, like suited up in front of an audience, like making these jokes. It's like you kind of got to see like, oh yes, they obviously have a place to stay. They're also humans. Like they're not just these people who you watch on YouTube every day or every night or whatever and being like, oh yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it's like suddenly like everyone becomes human again. You know what I mean? Like as weird as that sounds, as crazy of a thing that is like
no one's excused. No one.
Like it's everyone is like on Zoom and like doing things and trying their best to kind of cope with this. And I think you saw things like Some Good News and just like various little things like pop up and just like make that. Yeah, like do you remember when like SGN was like the biggest thing on YouTube?
Yeah.
Like whatever happened to that? It was such a good idea. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't
like
even know.
They got rid of it or like they stopped doing it because I felt like they were like, oh, things are starting to open up, but like sure enough, we're all back here. So clearly, But I guess like little things that I had listed were like honestly, like this is gonna sound crazy and like people are gonna give me shit for it probably, but like TikTok, man, TikTok was cool.
Dude, yeah,
TikTok was a big thing during quarantine, and it still is today. I mean, I still go on it like occasionally. I don't go on it as much as I did in quarantine, but it was a lot of fun. Like it was just fun, going through like TikTok and just looking at like it was like Vine for the younger generation. And it was like, just seeing people do random TikTok dances, and it was cool to see like anyone could be a creator, right? It didn't have to be like, fucking David Dobrik or Casey Neistat. Like suddenly like Anna in Indiana could go viral for doing, the fucking Savage Love dance or whatever, right? And suddenly she has 8.6 million views on her thing. And like, I thought that was sick. Just like seeing different people like rise during quarantine and like different trends. And like, it felt like people were like connecting with one another. And I think specifically, I wanted to talk a little bit about Brown TikTok. I think Brown TikTok was dope.
For sure. Yeah. It's an interesting place.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's toxicity. There's toxicity everywhere. But like, I mean, yeah, shout out Carcho. But there's just like a lot of different things, like with like different brown creators being able to like gain platforms and kind of have a space for like all brown youth in a lot of ways to like express themselves and just have like little inside jokes within the algorithm and whatnot. So I think that was cool.
Before TikTok really rose to prevalence, I mean, honestly, I started using TikTok like in March of this year. Like I did not use it before that. Honestly, I was like, screw TikToks. TikTok is for like younger, like 12-year-olds. But honestly, it's like, it's a really like interesting platform. And, on the topic of brown TikTok, it's like That's really cool too, because even before brown TikTok, you had like Just Rain on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You had I guess I don't really watch Superwoman, but like I think her older content
Lily.
was Lily Singh. I think her older
Yeah.
content was like more like I guess brown based as well.
Yeah.
You also had dude, what was that? I forget his name. Geek Slayer. Do you know who Geek Slayer is?
Yeah. I
Dude,
know who that
that
is.
goes way back in the day. You had him, and it's like I feel like TikTok, it made all these, like as you said, inside jokes and everything. It made them like more widespread, I think.
I think that's cool. I think it's cool that
Yeah,
that the brown community is able to have that, through TikTok, to have
definitely.
all these little stupid memes and just being able to share that with kids across the country, because
Mhm.
some brown kids don't grow up with a lot of other brown people around them. So it's kind of cool to see that oh, there's this guy in fucking Texas who's making this funny ass TikTok and I can relate to it, so that I find that to be very cool and very
More often than not, they're probably from New Jersey though, like
or California.
or California.
Yeah, no, that was a little thing that I liked, and I think another little thing of quarantine that made it was I guess just again it's the cliche, but spending time with family was really cool.
Yep.
Obviously it was weird because everyone in my family, at least in particular, is older now. We're all kind of living our own lives, relatively speaking. But my brother's 26, right? 27. And Jesus, did I forget his age? He's 26. He's 26. But yeah, it's just everyone's getting older, and pretty soon everyone's gonna just kind of and after once things started opening up, we'll all kind of drift and do our own things, and we're all adults basically at this point. I don't consider myself an adult, but it was cool getting to have those last little time together before we really just kind of split on go our own ways. And I think just doing various things, whether it just be even little things watching TV or making food or just little things to spend time with one another was something that I think I'm not going to forget for a long time, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean,
it's it's a lot of things that I feel when everything was in person, there's different things that are highlighted, and now it's when everything's online, it's people use this time for, as you said, family and things like that. I remember another thing when quarantine happened was people were dude, everything's less polluted. I think I remember seeing this picture on Subtle Curry Trace. It was these I don't know what state, but these farmers can see the Himalayas for the first time in 50 years or something.
Yeah, especially since India went into complete lockdown. There was people could not walk on the street without getting cited.
Oh yeah. I think the police there would hit everyone or something. I don't know.
I don't know necessarily what it is, but it's very it was very strict in other countries.
Definitely more
compared to here.
Yeah.
Let's see. So this is going to be an interesting question. And in terms of the theme, I mean, I think when you talk about macro events in 2020, you have to talk about the racial tension and injustice that did take place and continues to take place through BLM and all that. And I think just relating that, obviously we've talked a little bit about the macro with Corona and all that and the BLM stuff. But if you want to talk more about the micro in terms of what is an uncomfortable conversation that you've had to have with your family or with a person this year, and what was the result of it?
I think the George Floyd protests were definitely a topic of controversy, amongst just not even I feel just every brown family.
Yeah. No,
because I feel and I feel that entire period of time, it just sort of made this entire basically made everyone rethink okay, now we can see that these types of rules are racist or or they're inherently racist or oh, this is kind of anti-black, things like that. There's how there's that entire period of time on IG when people were like posting, oh, how like this anti-blackness in the South Asian
A
community.
lot of like those Instagram threads, right?
Exactly, those Instagram threads.
Yeah.
I feel like, to be honest, I mean, this might just be like just what I know. It could have been that threads were popular even before this entire thing happened. But I feel like that the types of threads that would would discuss like issues of like race or of like these societal issues. I feel like those Instagram threads like definitely became like more popular, and I just like feel like through that many of these like discussions, as I was saying before, on like race and just like society in general, like a lot of those became more prevalent.
No, for sure. I 100% agree with you in terms of just like how like these conversations about race have just been amplified to like the nth degree after George Floyd,
Definitely.
and Breonna Taylor, of course. I mean, these are just like now, like, I mean, I felt like the hardest part, especially like for me to communicate to my brown parents, was a lot of like, they were like, well, we're of a different color too. Like, why should I care, essentially, right?
Right.
And it was like, yes, you're of a different color. Like, yes, you immigrated to this country. I understand that struggle. And like, I'm not trying to discount that, but it's more so of this idea that you came here to this country based on the privileges that African Americans fought for.
Yeah.
And that was like the whole thing, discussing that and discussing like, dude, like, I mean, this obviously it's like not that big a deal. Like, I haven't heard about it. And it was like, obviously like we had to talk more about the bubble and just like where we live, particularly on a very micro basis in the Bay Area. Like, there isn't necessarily like these, particularly the Silicon Valley, like these issues tend to just kind of bounce off the bubble. And people just kind of tend to forget that they exist, when in reality that, obviously. So, I mean, I think for sure, I think the George Floyd events and the riots that ensued after, I think it was more so the riots that really invigorated conversation into my household.
Definitely.
Because
same.
I'm not, I mean, I don't think it's a shitty opinion to be like, oh, like it's, like, why are they rioting? I mean, it's a fair question. So, I mean, and a lot of times like people are asking that out of like genuine, concern, right? It's like, like, wait, why are they rioting? Like, and they just genuinely want to know. And I feel like that's why, like, not to get off a tangent, but this is why like I made the podcast, is because I feel like a lot of people are scared to ask a lot of questions in this day and age, right? Whether it be like, about George Floyd, or whether it be about things, because they're going to get judged, right? There's going to be some like, liberal in the media is going to be like, fuck you, you're wrong. There's going to be some conservative in the media is going to be like, fuck you, you're right. Or like, fuck you, you're wrong. And there's no way to get like a concrete answer or like have a discussion that's transparent without, there being attacks on character, attacks on just various different things. And I think that's,
No, go for it.
No, go for it.
Yeah. I think it was like another way to highlight the polarization in our country too.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, I feel like, I mean, do you feel BLM was like very mainstream before this thing happened? I feel like it got to a point where now it's even more mainstream.
To an extent, I think it was like very mainstream, quote unquote. But I think, I think like it comes and goes, right? It's passing. So like when Trayvon happened, like obviously it was a huge deal because, I mean, that was when I think BLM was first founded. And then, I would say like whenever there's like a mainstream like black man or woman killed, that mainstream media, and I mean this, like I'm emphasizing this, like mainstream media was reporting, because there has been several deaths that have not been reported. Yeah, like that mainstream media report, I think BLM rose in popularity, and it's just like it kind of goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And obviously with George Floyd and just like people being like, fuck this is enough, like you're starting to see like BLM really rise with that. And I think that's interesting. I also think it's interesting that like, and this is the point my parents brought up, was like, where's the unified leader? Like if we want change, right? Like where's the MLK? Where's the Malcolm X? Where is the Angela Davis? Like, where is that like leader to unify the community? And I was like thinking to myself, I was like, damn, like they're, I mean, that is kind of a valid point.
It's kind of like we needed a calming voice at that point more than ever.
Yeah, and I mean,
everyone, all the cities were burning.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I think like Steven Jackson was trying to be that leader. I think he was, but I think there was also like he did make some mistakes. He did say some things, and I think that definitely damaged his credibility to an extent.
For sure.
Particularly with the anti-Semitic comments, but that's for another day. We're not talking politics, even though that is not politics. But anyway, so this kind of leads me to that point because we were kind of talking about this. But like, what are some things that like you've been thinking about this year? It doesn't have to be like fucking deep or anything. Like you can just be like, oh, like I had a dream that I was SpongeBob or whatever the fuck. But like, what were you? What have you been thinking about this year?
It's crazy because I feel like. Now that it's December and all these like rules and this entire just attitude of being socially, doing social distancing and like wearing masks and just like living in the Corona time, I feel like they've gotten so like, I guess normalized in my mind that like just because you like kind of brought up dreams, I had a dream the other day where I was going to like Taco Bell or something, and there's like basically like I wasn't wearing a mask. And the people around me weren't wearing masks in that dream. And I was just like, yo, what the hell am I doing? Like, I should be wearing a mask. Like, what the hell? Funny. Yeah. And I'm just like, I woke up that morning. I was like, dude, that's crazy. Like, it's been normalized in my mind now that it's like, we have to be socially distant, right, or we have to wear masks and do all these types of things. So that's definitely one thing. I've been like, I guess thinking about just like how much society has changed. Like, if you think about it, like, I think on winter break by itself, right? We were we like when we were hanging out over winter break. Was it winter break? I think.
Did we hang out over winter? Oh, last year?
Yeah, like not this winter break, but like
I was like
December 2019.
Not this year, bro. No, last year, yeah, I think we did hang out in 2019.
Yeah, and I was just like, dude, I remember like there was a time when on like a Friday evening or like whatever when you could just like hit people up and be like, yo, let's go like do something. Let's go, like, let's eat food or do something. And it's just like, whoa, like now you can't. Yeah, exactly. Now you can't necessarily do that. I mean, you can, but like you can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't, it's not the same. It's not the same for sure.
For sure.
You have all these types of rules.
I mean, I think
right?
for me, like what I try to do is like, yes, I'm going to hang out with people. Like if that offends people, I'm sorry. But I just try to like make sure I'm hanging out with the right people, not like in terms of like personality, but like, I mean, obviously in personality, but like in terms of just like, who, like, what are they doing? Like, are they going out a lot? Like, are they exposed to a lot of different people? Like, are they fucking are they making stupid decisions? And like, frankly, I mean, like, thank God most of my friends, are, relatively level-headed people who are making good decisions and, are staying home most of the time and, mostly are just exposed to their families. So kind of it's up to them in terms of the amount of risk that they want to take. So, I mean, like in terms of that, it's just like about, like for me, in terms of hanging out with friends, it's just like assessing risk. It's like, okay, like, are you going to do something stupid?
For sure. And it's like, if you do it, then obviously like wear masks and just like follow the, I guguess, safety protocols.
Exactly. And it's just be smart about it. And if you're decently smart about it, and it's like your comfort level goes up. Like once you go hang out, like I went and hung out with one of the first people I hung out with was in like June. Right.
Yeah.
And that, like, I initially, like, my parents were scared. They're like, I don't know, like, is it okay? I was like, all right, like, well, let's see. Went and hung out, and like, hung out for a while and then came back and, sure enough, everything was okay. And it was like, okay, like, it's okay. Like, you can go out with that person. And then like, suddenly, obviously I'm not recommending that you go hang out with 90 different people. Please don't. And like, don't go to fucking concert. But
don't
like,
go to parties right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just talking like hanging out with like one or two friends, like in the park, or like one or two friends getting lunch and then like going to the park, whatever. Just like being, fucking like smart about it. And if you're decently smart about it, then you're chilling.
Exactly. Like, you have to be much more conscious now when you go out. Before, it's like, cool, I touched a table. If I touch my nose or my mouth, like, who cares? Like,
it's like, I mean, it's like, you got to make sure. It's like, I always have like a checklist before I go out. I'm like, wallet check, keys check, mask check. Like, it's like my dad, like every time like I go out now, is like, oh, did you bring your mask? I was like, oh shit. But like now I have masks in like I was saying this on like the first episode of the podcast. It's like I got masks in like every one of my jean pockets. Like I'll literally just like, put on jeans. I'll be like, what the fuck? Why is there a mask in here?
Literally as we're saying this, I got my N95 right here, dude.
Hey!
Let's go. There we go.
Yeah, got a mask right here. You know, gotta stay safe always.
Yeah.
But yeah,
crazy.
no.
Other than that, honestly, I've like, I mean, well, kind of related to that. I feel like even once this entire like pandemic passes us, I feel like masks are still going to be a thing.
For sure.
Because I feel like even if all of us do get vaccinated, which like is probably going to be at best a while, yeah, probably at best like a few years. I don't even know.
We'll see. But
yeah, we'll see. I feel like the masks are gonna stay for a little bit more.
I agree.
Because people are kind of we've kind of been sort of I mean, as I was kind of talking before, like all these or saying before, all these COVID rules are like kind of normalized in our heads now. I feel like that kind of normalization and that kind of skepticism of people around you in terms of like, oh, like, is it okay if I hug this person, or is it okay if I, if I dap them up, or like, I feel like all these types of things, like that skepticism is definitely going to last, and because of that, I feel like masks and things like that are going to last still.
For sure. I mean, in terms of like, you talked about, you're kind of been thinking about like masks and like safety and like how long this is going to last in the future. I mean, like for me, I'm just going to like go on the complete opposite and talk about something completely different in terms of what I've been thinking about. I think like the one thing I've really been thinking about is like the complete, and like I talked about this on my thought of the week that I released yesterday or 2 days ago, because this is going to go down. So for those of you who haven't checked that out, go check that out. It's cool. I've been thinking about just like the lack of fucking value in higher education. Like I think like this is just something that I've been thinking about recently, and me and my dad go back and forth because my dad has a PhD. So like me and my dad just fight back and forth, and I'm like, dude, your degree is useless now. Like you're like, and he'll be like, what is wrong with you? And you'll be like, and I'm like, yeah. Like, but I mean, I think I laid out like my pretty structured argument. I hope it was like semi-comprehensible, but like it basically what it comes down to for me is like, I don't think we're going to go back to in-person learning, or at least like these bigger colleges that have classes with 500 people are not going to go back to these, classroom settings anytime soon, even post-vaccination. Like, I think it's going to be a while. And I think the value of higher education is slowly dwindling because you're seeing schools like San Jose State, like Cal, like Harvard be the same fucking school because everyone just logs onto a Zoom call.
Yeah, it's just Zoom University.
Exactly. It doesn't fucking matter. Suddenly it's like, oh shit, I guess we're, back to this. And it's like, it doesn't like suddenly like this whole narrative of like, oh, like you get such a quality education at Harvard, blah, blah, you're going to get such quality instruction from your professors and you're going to learn so much. It's like, fuck that shit. I'm not learning anything. Most of the time these motherfuckers are on Twitter. Like, they don't give a shit about school or like online classes. Like, sorry, Professor Jones, but like no one's paying attention to anthropology. Like, it's true. And like, I'm just like, what is the value of that? And even like pre-pandemic, like I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this shit's a ripoff. Like for the most part, like you're paying because employers require a certain level of degree, right? It kind of works like banks, like I talked about, where it was like the consumers have to have trust within the banks that the banks are doing their job and keeping their money safe. But and if the consumers start to pull out and not believe in banks, banks go out of business. And it's the same thing with college, right? Not only do consumers have to have trust in them, but the firms, like the businesses, the companies that are hiring these college graduates have to have faith within the universities that they are teaching the kids the content that they need to be successful in the workforce. Suddenly, like with COVID, I don't think like firms are start having more confidence in universities right now. I think this next generation of kids that's going out to get internships, to get fucking jobs, I don't necessarily think like, and I'm myself included, I don't necessarily think that they're going to think we're the most well-prepared bunch. Most of us are learning basic fundamental concepts that you're supposed to quote unquote learn for your major online. What the fuck is going to happen when you go and get your job? It's like, oh, sir, I don't know how to do that. It's like,
no, literally. And, like, have you seen all these memes where it's like, oh, if you're a lawyer who did online school. It's or like a doctor who did online school.
Exactly. Suddenly hire, and that's what I'm saying is suddenly I think employers right now are starting to freak out a little bit, and they're starting to be like, listen, maybe we're going to value experience and projects and like understanding of content over some fucking university degree. Right. And I think you're starting to see that a little bit in tech, and I think you're going to slowly start to see it shift into every other field, because I think maybe not with doctors like I talked about, because it's heavily specialized and other more heavily specialized fields, but you're going to start to see it with a lot of fucking things. And I think college is just, I think it's going out the window very soon. I don't think like within 5 years. I think it'll probably take a while for it to happen, but I'm calling it right now on this podcast in 2020. I think college is not going to, by the time that me and you have kids and they're quote unquote at the age to apply to school, I don't think a lot of them are going to be applying to school. Let's just say that.
Doesn't like Elon Musk have some like alternative school that he sends like his kids to?
I mean, that's like public school. That's like, I'm talking, I know, that's like K through 12, right?
Well, yeah. But it's just like, it's kind of like on that note of like the alternate way of taking your education, right?
Yeah.
You know, like not going through this like traditional, like, oh, like this is how it has to be done.
I mean,
it's kind of like,
I think K through 12 has like its relative problems, but like I think that can be fixed within the system. But I think fucking higher education is just a corrupt system in general. I
agree.
I think it just benefits fucking like upper middle class families the most, and it just fucking brings everybody else down because you can't increase your income if you don't have the fucking 4-year degree, which is bullshit.
Yeah. You know, kind of referring back to like how we were talking about TikTok, I see a lot of TikToks there who are like, be financially independent, get out of the rat race.
Absolutely.
Do self-education. Don't listen to professors. School doesn't teach you for the real world.
What have I been telling you for 8 months? No, I'm kidding.
Bro, we're Robin Hood investors now. Hell.
No. Oh man, I hate that title, but you know. But yeah, I mean, and that kind of leads into my second to last takeaway, which is what is an interest or hobby you've developed in 2020? And I can firmly tell you that 2 interests I've developed. Number 1 is content creating and podcasting. Of course, I love you guys. Blah. And number 2 is investing. And you know, we've been referring to investing throughout this podcast, and I think for me, like, investing has just been another like way to like pass this time during this podcast of like, you know, or not during this podcast, but during that sounded wrong. But during quarantine, you know, it's like you like suddenly like we're thrust into this online environment, and it's like, bro, I have money sitting in my bank account, and no one is spending any money, right? No one is spending any income on any of this like money or anything. And now we're at the point where it's like, holy crap, you know, I totally lost my train of thought. Hold on. Okay, because Rahul was like blinking in and out, so like I lost my train of thought completely. So I was like ranting. But no, like with investing, like I think with stimulus checks and everything, with like people starting to get money and not being able to spend it and not being able to go on vacation or go out and go to nightclubs or whatever the fuck people do these days, suddenly like you're kind of forced to, you know, like be like, how do I save? And like that's where the movement, like you were talking about, like financial independence has just taken off. And
yeah, definitely.
And I mean, I think for me, like investing is just, it's also cool in my opinion to be like financially independent, but I've learned so much from the stock market. You know, it's like, wow, like I learned like why our government works a certain way, or like why stocks are moving up or down or this or that. And it's like, honestly, like what I've learned, like the main lesson I've learned from the stock market is, bro, just go with your gut, go with what you think is good. Go with like, that's really what I've learned. I know this is supposed to be like financially independent and like follow the rules and the financials and the numbers. It's like, I don't give a fuck about the numbers. That's what I realized is like, I can give 2 shits if your financials are good. If I don't trust in the product, if I don't trust your leadership in your company, I don't care about your company. I don't care.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
like, yeah. And honestly, investing is so fun. It's like become like a game to me. It's like,
exactly,
I just like playing the game. And it's like, now that I'm working and like I have a job, you know, I've had a job for the last 6 months. It's like, I have money now. So it's like, haha, I'm going to throw it at the stock market, see what happens. Like, I fucking love this shit.
Learn about index funds and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's like I honestly just like fucking have so much fun like looking up index funds or like watching videos about stocks or like watching Graham Stephan or like
what's up, you guys? It's Graham here.
You watch Graham? I didn't know you watched Graham.
Yeah, dude. What do you mean? I told you I watched him like a long time ago.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think we had this conversation that we both watched Graham. But I love Graham Stephan, bro. He's been one of like my people during quarantine that I've just watched his videos. And yes, he looks like Phineas, but like his video content is so freaking good. And it's just like, it's so like relatable to the millennial demographic and particularly people our age to like get into investing, get into financial independence. And I think it gets people excited, which is like important. Sure. Because our generation fucking sucks at spending money and saving money. I've noticed it. We're the worst.
For sure.
I'll literally have friends text me like, bro, I just dropped $200 on an Amazon order for fucking shoes. I'm like,
like, what are you doing?
Please stop, man. Please don't do this. I'll literally text, like, I've texted you, like, I've texted all our friends, like, bro, like, get into the stock market. And they're like, fuck you. I'm like, no. And you're the only one that's like, yeah, dude, I got into Robinhood recently. And it's like, yeah, I mean, there's like a couple people who were like, you know, down. And I've like very much persuaded a lot of my friends to head in that financially independent direction. And they're all really into it now. So that's been a highlight for me, has been investing this year. For
Definitely. Sure. I can 100% agree.
And you've 100% seen me like get into it. So
yeah. There's like now there's like all these subreddits like that I've been like just I've been following like Wall Street Bets and
Wall Street Bets all these, like, is the best. It's so funny. Don't fucking follow like, Wall Street Bets.
Yeah, and I was like on Instagram there's like Stock Genius, and then like on Facebook there's all these weird like trading like groups. And I was like, dude, that's cool. I did not know that there was a community that was based around like investing.
The community is super cool, and I think it's only growing now with quarantine and just people's interest peaking. I think it's dope. Yeah, stock market's really interesting, man.
Yeah, especially from March to now, it's like that was crazy. Like I think when everything just started, it was dipping. Right?
And it's like I'm
crazy.
Like I want to talk about finance in a later episode. I've honestly like emailed all like the big finance YouTubers, like fucking Matthew Huo, if you're listening to this, Graham Stephan, Andre. Like I've emailed all these guys just like, yo, please come on the podcast. I really want you guys to break down my portfolio and like we could talk.
Dude, have you seen Meet Kevin or whatever?
Yes, Meet Kevin. Yeah, I love Meet Kevin. Yeah, Meet Kevin's dope. But for those of you who don't know any of these YouTubers, go check them out. Graham Stephan, definitely go check them out. Meet Kevin. These guys are all really fucking like just geniuses in terms of just building wealth, finance, personal finance. They know their shit. So go check them out.
Yeah.
And I plug their channels. So Graham, smash that like button. No, okay. But last thing.
Smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah. Last thing before I let you go. Because I know we've run maybe an hour 5, hour 10. I don't know how long it's been at this point, honestly. I'm going to talk about my favorite thing in the world, sports. No. But yeah, let's talk for a second about sports in 2020, man. Besides this just being an absolutely horrible, fucking terrible year for Bay Area sports teams, what role has sports played in your life this year, just on a more sociological level?
Dude, it's been a like massive stress reliever for sure. Like,
absolutely.
I mean, it was a stress reliever before, but now you can definitely see the effects of it. Like, there's a football match, or like I just said football match, football game. What is it? What is it? Cricket? No, but no football game. I think today too, and I'm probably just gonna watch that just to chill.
Well, I think it's half over, bro. Let me check.
I think it's half over now. Yeah.
Wait, is it?
Whatever. It's Raiders and Chargers.
Raiders Chargers, right?
Yeah.
Let me check the score.
I think the Warriors have a game too. Is it going on right now?
No, the Warriors have their preseason game Tuesday. Do they have another one today?
I thought they had one today. Yeah, they're playing the Kings for the second time.
It's the fourth quarter right now.
Okay, never mind. But anyway, but yeah, it's played a huge role. It's also been pretty cool to see like how a lot of them have changed their processes. So like we saw the NBA bubble in like.
Oh, you're summer. Right. There is a Warriors game today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're cooking the Kings right now. Cooking the Kings. I'm fucking cooking. Anyway.
Dude, last game that was crazy. I think we lost by buzzer beater. Like.
Yeah, crazy game. Anyway.
Yeah, but I think it was like especially for like the NBA bubble, like NBA bubble was pretty cool to see. Like I never thought in like my wildest dreams that like a sports league would make that type of environment. Like I think none of us really thought that type of environment would happen. I thought it was pretty cool.
For sure.
And I don't know what else, man. I mean, dude, the NBA season when it was like normal, the last time it was normal, dude, Warriors were just being completely obliterated because like Steph wasn't there, Steph was there, but for a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Draymond wasn't there, Clay wasn't there, whoa.
Yeah.
I think
Clay still
on my
isn't
finger.
there, but Clay
Yeah.
still isn't there. But that's a
big
topic for another day.
Oh, that's
Let's not
sad.
talk about
Not now, man. And then
yeah.
what else? I had very high hopes for the Niners this season, but I don't know. The MetLife Stadium just did not treat any of our players well.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Bosa was
yeah.
we going with that, dude.
I think for me, like sports has always been huge in my life. You've known that since high school. Since I was born practically. But no, I mean, like my Niners and my Warriors are like my two kids. I love those two teams to death. And like, you know, obviously not seeing the Warriors in the NBA bubble was tough. And like, yes, that like made me follow it less. I was more like, you know, I wasn't watching as many basketball games for sure. But like, yeah, when the Niners first started this season, I was pumped. I was so excited. And like, honestly, like watching, like, and that's always been the case for me. Is just like whatever the fuck is going on in the real world, like, just stops for a second when you're watching like your team.
Sports like that constant.
Yeah, it's like, bro, like no matter what, like Steph Curry's gonna be, you know, on the court, hopefully, praying for him. You know, like no matter what, like the Niners are gonna be on Sunday or on Monday or whatever, right? It's just like they have one game a week, and like that's guaranteed, no matter what. And it's like and like that's honestly like things I've looked forward to like throughout this whole quarantine, throughout 2020. It's just been Niners games have been an absolute highlight. And I've said this, and like I'm gonna go on the record and say it. Like last year's 13-3 team was fantastic, and it was amazing, and it was the best dream run ever. But this year, I really just connect more to this team. And
definitely.
This year, the Niners have gone through a lot. You know, they've had a lot of injuries. They've had to relocate homes. They've had to, you know, they've had a bad COVID luck, and any bad thing that you can name, the Niners have probably gone through. But honestly, like it makes me not only proud as a fan to see them fight through every single game and just slog through it, even though they're, you know, losing and they've been on a losing streak. But it's been cool to see, just as a person who has been in this year of 2020, like how the Niners just totally represent what 2020 feels like, because it just feels like every sliver of hope that they get, it's just shut down, or like, you know, just like maybe one thing will go right and then it doesn't, and then like this and then that, and it's just but
every game is just like
it's a roller coaster.
Like, oh cool, like if wait, what?
It's a roller coaster, I said.
Dude, yeah. And I think even if we win, they're just like, oh, this player got injured, or this player has like turf toe, or like this player. I'm like, dude, can we just have one game without like any player just getting negatively affected?
It's been tough, man. To be a Niner fan, it's been tough to, you know, watch your team get through it. But I think like for me, like especially as someone who's a very diehard sports fan, it's like you got to get through the bad seasons to get to the good. And last year, and like one of my favorite analysts, Grant Cohn, shout out Grant Cohn, says that, like, he even said, he was like, last year was easy, guys. Last year was fucking easy. You know, it was 13-3. You guys just cruised. You didn't have very much bad luck. Like, everyone was playing well, and you went to the Super Bowl and you got kicked and you lost. And since then, it's been hard, and it's gonna be hard. So get used to it. And it's like, you know what? I as a fan, like, and I've said this, and it's like I connect more to this fucking 5-8 dumpster fire than I did to that 13-3 team last year. Yeah. And it's honestly, like, I can say from the bottom of my heart, as like a diehard Niner faithful, like, it's been just a pleasure getting to see them play every weekend. Even though I yell at my TV and I scream, like, I honestly just love getting to see them on my TV every week. And it makes 2020 just a tiny bit better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like with everything they went through, it made me like feel closer to them, even though like none of them know who the fuck we are. But like, it just makes me like feel like, yeah, this is definitely my team. Like, they, like, as you said, they had to relocate from Levi's to Arizona. Obviously, they had all these injuries they had to go through. Everything was thrown. Like, every bad thing you could possibly think of right now was, like, I guess, thrown at them. But they still, like, persisted, and they still
continue
like managed it pretty well. They continue to persist, yeah, and they're like managing it pretty well, I think.
Yeah. I mean, when you like saw
Crazy.
all of those guys just break down after the Rams win, like you knew, like that's when you just know it's hard, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, being away from your families is tough, but it's like at the end of the day, athletes are humans. And it's like athletes, I mean, yes, they're making millions of dollars, and yes, they're probably in a better income class than any of us will ever be in our lifetimes. But like they're humans, and the human condition is very like universal. No matter who you are, like they're away from their families, man. They're sacrificing their bodies every week to, this, and they have COVID to worry about, and they have a lot of worries on their own heads. Exactly. And so, they're playing for contracts. They're playing for another year of their career. And it's like, but honestly,
especially this month, a lot of Niners players have to be away from their families for I think the entirety of December, right?
Yeah. And obviously I think motivation right now for them is at an all-time low, which is tough, because they literally are just, I think they're basically out of the playoffs at this point. But,
sure.
But I mean, honestly, all credit to that team. Then that's the one thing I'll always say as a Niner fan. I may just fucking criticize the team, the executives, the front office, the top management, Jed York, everyone. But Parag, fuck Parag. No, I'm kidding. But the one thing I won't criticize is this team's grit and fight, because they just fucking bring it every week, no matter what the score is, no matter the opponent, they bring it. And that just gives me hope, and it also just makes me proud as a fan that I support a team that doesn't quit.
Yeah, for sure.
And on that note, I think that's kind of our wrap up for 2020. I think we talked a little bit about everything. I think we talked a little bit about COVID. We talked a little bit about the racial injustice, and we also talked about little micro things that are happening in our lives. And I think this was a good wrap up. I think this was good, man.
Nice. Yeah, it was good. Covered a lot. Basically, just 2020, the wrap up. Yeah. The Essential Podcast with a new Shangavi wrap up.
And last thing, I just want to say this to all the viewers that have stuck to the end. Thank you guys so much for supporting the podcast. I started this 2 months ago. It's been 2 months. It's been a ride. And it's been hard, and I'm trying to figure out a lot of things, and it's been fucking scratchy and rusty and crusty at times. But you've
done a good job, man. You've done a good job.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, I've just been working hard and just been trying to create really good content for everyone that's watching. I've had such a good time getting to interview everyone and just getting to talk to my friends maybe a little bit more. But who knows? We may be getting some bigger guests later on. I'm not going to reveal who they are necessarily yet, but I'm excited for those too. And I'm excited for the future of this podcast, man, because I've just had all of a time. I hope people are enjoying the content. If you guys are, hit me up on Instagram at Essential Question Podcast. Tweet at me at EssentialQU1. And also feel free to email me at essentialquestionpodcast@gmail.com. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. I just wanted to thank every single one of you that has viewed, every single one of you that has subscribed on YouTube. Please go ahead and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. Smash the like button. Destroy the like button.
Destroy it for the YouTube algorithm, guys.
There you go. So that we can build our community even further. But yeah, I mean, thank you to all the viewers out there. Really, it means so much to me that you guys are listening, that you guys are paying attention, that you guys actually care about what I'm talking about. And I hope to see many more of you in 2021 and beyond. And hopefully we can make this thing a smashing success. Yeah, man. Hey, but it was a pleasure talking to you, Rahul. I appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. I hope it was an entertaining conversation. I didn't waste your time.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It wasn't entertaining conversation. You did not waste my time.
There we go. I'll take it. All right. And to the viewers, I hope you have a good one. I hope you have a good night, day, afternoon, whatever the fuck it is. Peace.